70 years. For 70 years, I couldn't read a single word. Couldn't even write my own name. People called me illiterate, called me ignorant. But last night, I read my granddaughter her very first bedtime story. And she said to me, "Grandma, you're the smartest person in the world. My name is Dorothy, but everybody calls me Dot. I'm 70 years old. I spent 70 years of my life not knowing how to read or write. But 8 months ago, I did something. I went to the Birmingham Adult Literacy Center, signed up for reading classes. People laughed. 'What are you going to learn at 70?' they said. But I didn't listen. And now I can read books. I read bedtime stories to my grandchildren. I send text messages. I can sign my own name. After 70 years? I was born in 1954 in rural Alabama, a small town. We were a black family, African American. Back then everything was different. Segregation was the law, Jim Crow laws. There were schools for white kids, different schools for us. When I turned 7, I was supposed to start school, but it didn't happen. My daddy worked in the cotton fields. He was a sharecropper. He didn't own the land. He worked somebody else's land. We made very little money. There were 7 of us, 7 children. One day my mama said to me, "Dorothy, you can't go to school. You got to help your daddy in the fields. Otherwise we won't have food to eat." I was so young, only 7 years old. But I understood. No money, no food. I had to work in the fields. Some of my siblings went to school, but not me. Because I was the oldest, I had to work. From age 7 to 16, I worked in the cotton fields. I'd wake up at 5 in the morning. Before the sun came up, I'd be in the fields, picking cotton all day long. My hands hurt, my back hurt. But there was nothing I could do, because I was working so my family wouldn't starve. I'd see the children going to school. They'd pass by on buses. White children rode in yellow buses. Black children rode in old beat-up buses. But at least they were going. I stayed in the fields. Something was always missing inside me. I wanted to go to school, but it never happened. When I was 16, I met a man, Robert Williams. He was 18. He worked in the cotton fields, too. He couldn't read or write either. We got married. I was 16 years old. He was 18. People ask me, "Dot, why couldn't you learn to read? In 70 years you never learned?" I tell them this. Poverty kept me from learning. At 17, my first child, James, was born. At 18, Linda was born. At 20, Michael was born. 3 children. By the time I was 20 years old. My husband, Robert, worked at a factory, steel mill. But he made very little money. I had to work too. I took cleaning jobs. I cleaned white families' houses. I worked 6 days a week. I'd wake up at 6 in the morning, make breakfast for the children, leave them with a neighbor, get on the bus, go to the white neighborhoods, clean houses, wash dishes, do laundry, come home at 7 in the evening, cook dinner for the kids, put them to bed. Then I'd collapse, dead, tired from exhaustion. When was I supposed to learn to read? No money, no time, no energy. Dorothy. One day my children got a little older. James was 8, Linda was 7, Michael was 5. They'd come home from school with homework. James said to me, "Mama, help me with my homework." I looked at that paper. I couldn't understand a single word. I told James, "Baby, go ask your daddy." James went to his father. But Robert didn't know either. We were both illiterate. We had to take the child to a neighbor. The neighbor did his homework. That night I said to Robert, "Robert, I want to learn to read. Robert said, Dot, we don't have money. You're working. I'm working. We got 3 kids. We can barely pay rent. Where are we going to find money for school? Back then, adult education wasn't free. You had to go to community college, but that cost money. We didn't have money. Robert was right. I had to work, so the children wouldn't go hungry. Learning to read had to wait. It was 1975. I was 21 years old. I applied for welfare, got food stamps, because Robert's salary wasn't enough. I was ashamed. But I did it so the children wouldn't starve. I'd go to the grocery store, pay with food stamps, but I had to hand the stamps to the cashier. The cashier would count them. Everyone would stare. She's using food stamps. I was so ashamed. One day the cashier gave me a form, said, sign here. I looked at that form, couldn't read it. I pressed my thumbprint. Behind me in line was a woman, a white woman. She said, can't you even sign your name? I lowered my head, got out of there as fast as I could. When I got home, I cried, Lord, why can't I read or write? But again, I couldn't learn, because the next day I had to work again. Electric bill, water bill, rent, learning to read felt like a luxury. Survival was more important. In the 1980s, my children grew up. James started high school. One day he came home crying. I said, baby, what's wrong? He said, Mama, kids at school laughed at me. They said my mama is illiterate. They said you can't even read. Kids at school made fun of him, said his mama was ignorant. My heart broke. I said to James, baby, it's true. Mama can't read, but Mama's trying her best to take care of you. James cried, Mama, I don't care. I love you. That day I said, one day I'm going to learn to read so my children won't be ashamed. But again, it didn't happen because Robert got sick, diabetes. We had to go to the hospital. Doctor prescribed medications, but I couldn't read the labels on the pill bottles. I had to ask a neighbor. She read them to me. I was so scared. What if I give him the wrong medicine? What if Robert dies? In 2014, Robert passed away. Heart attack. I was alone. My children had grown up. They'd gotten married, moved to other cities. James in Atlanta, Linda in Birmingham, Michael in Houston. I had grandchildren, 7 grandchildren. The youngest was Aisha, Linda's daughter, 6 years old. It was 2023. One day Aisha came to visit me. She had a book in her hand. The Cat in the Hat, Dr. Seuss. She said to me, Grandma, read me a story. I took that book in my hands, looked at the pictures, beautiful pictures, but I couldn't read the words. I said to Aisha, baby, Grandma forgot her glasses. You read it yourself. But Aisha said, but Grandma, I can't read yet. I'm still learning. You read to me. That moment, my heart broke. I'm 70 years old. My granddaughter is 6 years old. She hasn't learned to read yet. Neither have I. What's the difference? That day after Aisha left, I cried so hard. I said, Lord, I want to learn. Please help me. I'm 70 years old, but I want to learn. One day I saw a commercial on TV, Birmingham Adult Literacy Center. It said, never too late to learn. It said free classes. I wrote down the phone number. Well, I drew lines, memorized it. I called Linda. I said, Linda, I want to learn to read. Linda was shocked. She said, Mama, you're 70 years old. Why now? I said, because I want to read to Aisha. I want to read your text messages. I want to sign my own name. Please help me. Linda was quiet. Then she cried. She said, Mama, I'll take you. I'm so proud of you. I went to the Birmingham Adult Literacy Center. enrolled in classes. My teacher was Mrs. Johnson, a white woman, very kind. She said to me, "Welcome, Dorothy. How old are you?" 70, I said. Mrs. Johnson smiled. She said, "Wonderful. You'll be our oldest student. But age is just a number. Let's learn." I walked into the classroom. There were other people there, old people, young people, whites, blacks, Hispanics, all trying to learn to read. I wasn't alone. On the first day, Mrs. Johnson wrote a letter on the board. A, she said. "This is the letter A." I looked at that letter. I'm 70 years old, learning a letter for the first time. The first week was very hard. The letters got mixed up. A, B, C, D. I come home. Practice. My hand hurt. My eyes got tired, but I didn't quit. One day, Mrs. Johnson said, "Now write your name." She wrote on the board, "Dorothy." She said, "Dorothy, come write your name." I stood up. My hands were shaking. I wrote, "Dorothy." Mrs. Johnson clapped. The class clapped. I cried. After 70 years, for the first time, I wrote my own name. In the 4th month, we learned to make sentences. I wrote, "I am learning to read." Mrs. Johnson said, "Excellent, Dorothy." I took that paper home, showed it to Linda. She cried. She said, "Mama, I'm so proud of you." In the 6th month, I learned to text on my phone. I wrote to Linda, "Hi, baby. How are you?" Linda wrote back, "Mama, you wrote this? I'm crying. I love you." We both cried. After 8 months, the course ended. They had a graduation ceremony. They gave us diplomas. When I received that diploma, I cried so hard. At 70 years old, my first diploma ever. It says, "Dorothy Williams, Certificate of Literacy." After graduation, Aisha came to visit. Again, she had a book in her hand. She said to me, "Grandma, will you read to me?" I smiled. I said, "Yes, baby, I will." Aisha was shocked. She said, "But Grandma, you said you can't read." I said, "I couldn't, but now I can." I opened the book. I started reading. "The Cat in the Hat." I read slowly. Aisha was watching me. Her eyes were shining. When I finished, Aisha hugged me. She said, "Grandma, you're the smartest person in the world." That moment was the happiest moment of my life. Now I tell people, in America, 32 million adults can't read. Low literacy. Most are from poor families. Most are black and Hispanic. I'm calling out to them. It's never too late. I learned at 70 years old. There are public libraries, adult literacy programs. Most are free. Go. Learn. Not being able to read isn't your fault. The system failed you, but don't fail yourself. I was deprived of this right for 70 years, but not anymore. Now I can read, and it's the most beautiful feeling in the world. If you want to hear more stories from the heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share your thoughts with me in the comments. Love you all.